Right, so, as you guys know, I'm here with Rico. Rico,
Yo,
the
what's good?
infamous.
What's good?
How you doing, man?
What's good? Shit, man, pretty good, man. How you doing?
Very good. Hit a quick little gym today. When I went, I go to a powerhouse, right? And
Yeah.
at the powerhouse, they got a sauna, the cold plunge, all this shit. Dude, I
Oh,
just
they got
started doing
all.
that again today. Feel like $1 million.
Nah, bro. The sauna is where it's at, bro. I fuck with the sauna hella.
So,
Cold plunge is fucking. That shit is fire too, bro. But that shit is a bitch, bro.
dude, I'm not gonna lie. I made a video, like a TikTok in the cold plunge today, because I got in
Bro.
there and I was like, you know what? Cold plunges are a lot like manifestation. You
Mm.
get in there as soon as you start like repeating your new affirmations, or as soon as you get in the water,
Yup.
your whole body like tenses up. You don't want to do this shit. There's doubt. You want to get
Mm-hmm.
out, but then you start to feel, you reap the benefits and all that. So
Yeah. That first bit of uncomfortability, then you start getting, start smoothing out and shit.
yeah, yeah. So how'd you get into manifesting? Like, what was your initial like? Everyone's got a moment. Like with me,
Mm-hmm.
I lost my ex. It's a woman.
Yeah.
We all know the story. She had a big butt. I wanted it back.
Shit, you can't get mad at that.
So, what was your story? How'd you get into this?
So I always say, so I'll go back to the beginning, bro. Like I started getting into the like spirituality shit, like 11 or 12 years old. Started meditating and things like that.
At 11
I
and
always
12?
yeah, bro. I
That's
used to always
impressive.
have like crazy ass dreams and shit, and I always wanted to learn how to figure out my dreams and learn how to lucid dream and astral project. That was what I was trying to do, but I ended up fucking meditating.
Huh.
And from that point, like over the years, I kept learning more shit and more shit. Spiritual sewing shit, fucking Bantu cut and all them.
Yeah, I've never actually heard of them. I didn't, like I said,
For
I
real?
got into manifesting when I was like 18, 19 years old, and it was like only on
Yeah,
TikTok.
for real, that's just crazy.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
no, 12 is low key impressive because you hear like a lot of people, what, you're 22, 23 years old right now?
yeah, 22.
22. So you're 22 years old, I'm 23. A lot of people our age got into spirituality around 2020, 2021, like around the COVID
Yeah,
times. I find it
yeah.
very impressive that you actually got into this at the age of 12.
Shit is crazy. I mean, when I was growing up, bro, like kindergarten to third grade, I went to a Christian school.
Okay.
So like we had like church every Friday and all that other shit, bro. And even from that age, bro, we would have church, they in there crying and shit, and I'm just like, I don't know, bro. Like I always felt like I wasn't resonating with that shit. So I'm like, it's got to be something more. So I started, YouTube came around. I started watching YouTube and shit. But fast forward to like the manifestation thing. I say the first thing that I manifested, which was kind of crazy. Um, a few things, but the first thing I'll say, I was in high school, bro. I fucking hated high school. So I went from a Christian school. From fourth grade to eighth grade, I went to a public school.
Okay.
Ninth grade to 12th, I was at a private Catholic school. And that
You
shit
were
was
all
ass,
over.
bro.
You were
I was all
all
over the
over.
place, bro. All over the place. But I hated that shit, bro. I wanted to leave so bad, bro. And like, no bullshit, every day, bro, I would just fucking imagine myself not being in that fucking school, bro. And like, I just didn't want to be there.
Right.
And, bro, and this is how I say manifestation is wild, bro, because ain't no telling how the fuck that shit gonna happen. But I end up leaving the school, but I end up getting kicked out of the school. And that's how the fuck I left.
Did
So it was
you
like,
did you graduate or no?
yeah, I graduated, but I
Graduate.
had to finish school online.
Okay.
So
What
after
what'd you
I
end up
got
doing to
kicked
get
out,
kicked out? Like, what was your Bridget incidents?
bro, so my junior year of high school, right? I was always been an athlete, track guy, track good as fuck. We won state and shit,
Yep.
but I was always smoking, bro. I was just a big fucking smoker, and we got drug tested at that school,
Really?
but it was hair samples. Shit go back 90 days, bro. 90-day hair
That's
samples.
crazy.
Stupid
I
shit.
could have been injecting 8,000 milligrams of testosterone into me. I would have never got drug tested at my school.
Yeah, bro. It was some bullshit. And like, the other folks there, like, if you was super good at football, it's a different story, bro. I mean, they doing hell of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they lining up.
I know a lot about the booger sugar. Let's say
Yeah,
that.
bro. So they doing all that. But yeah, bro. So took my hair sample. Yeah, I just didn't give a fuck, bro. I was just smoking and shit. I had a fucking incident where I got kicked off a school trip. Um, got kicked out the airport and shit.
Yep.
Crazy, bro. But yeah, at the end of the day, I ended up actually being able to leave. Well, I got kicked out, but actually being able to leave. From that point on, I started getting into my personal training shit.
Yep.
Started my own business with that. Manifested a few SPs. That was really crazy.
Yeah, I can only
Um,
imagine.
yeah, bro. The one thing that I would say about the SP shit, um, yeah. So I was manifesting the SP, wrote down all the attributes of the SP, and I remember I always talk about dreams and shit. I had a dream to where I seen what the fuck she looked like before I fucking met her. And then fast forward like a couple months after that, exact same person I seen in my dream, I end up fucking being my SP and shit. That was
That's how it
crazy
works. That's how it works. And
Yeah.
like I know you were talking about like young experience with manifesting and like being in school. And like the thing with me is we kind of I actually liked school. I really liked school growing up.
Mm,
I didn't like the thought of, you know, getting told what to do. Like
yeah.
I personally was always like rebellious in a way. I wasn't like a giant dickhead, but I
Yeah.
hated just listening to people. That was always my grime. And I remember when I was younger, because I don't know if you do know this. 'Cause I know we've talked before. I did not grow up in the greatest household. Now, mind you,
Mm-hmm.
that's all they knew. My dad was doing. He was very sick when it came to drugs. My mother was
Yeah.
very young. They were not ready to be parents. My mom was 16. My dad
Mm-hmm.
was 24.
Jeez.
My dad was a
It'd be like that.
yeah. But you know, they weren't ready to be parents, and I grew up and you know, it wasn't always the best. I'm not gonna say I was like living in the ends or something. You know, I had
Mm-hmm.
food, but I remember this is my like first conscious experience, and it sticks with me. It's very profound. I remember consciously thinking to myself, it was like maybe 5 years old, 6 years old, and I remember I was like, wow, why are my parents never home? Why can I never? Because I would be alone by myself a lot because, you know, my mom had
Yeah.
to work and my dad said he was working. He was most likely out doing, you know, so and so, you know what I mean, as a drug addict
Yeah.
would. But I was alone by myself a lot, at least to my memory. And I remember sitting there and thinking to myself, like, huh, work. Why do people have to work? Why can't they do what they want to do every day? Why do I have to be away from my parents? Why do I have to be by myself every single day? And I remember I'd always get scared because again, I'm a little kid. I'd be home by myself in this apartment. Sure, I'd have
Mm-hmm.
my PlayStation and shit, you know, I'd play games and all that. But
Yeah.
I'd be like, huh. And I remember telling myself, and again, this is my first conscious like moment, mind you. I remember telling myself like, huh, I'm going to not work by the time I'm like 25, 26 years old. Like I'm going to
Yeah.
make sure that I can actually hang out with my kids once I have kids. And thinking back on that now, it's so crazy to me because how many people at that age are thinking that way?
Yeah, bro. That's super crazy. Definitely.
And you said something like with church, and I remember I'm not very into like religion now, as
Mm-hmm.
you know, as you are as well. We're kind of the same thing, where you know we know that we are the gods of our reality, and which is you know the best thing that you can learn in your life.
Right.
And I remember when I was younger, it's kind of the same thing with you. My grandpa, there was a church in our hometown. I don't remember if it was Catholic or Christian. I don't know. But I remember I'd always get taken there and I hated it. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. None of this makes sense to me. Like, and it just, again, it never resonated with me. And it's funny to hear you talk about that. And it's very common when it comes to coaches or people who are getting into this field. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
we almost know. Like we're born with the knowing that's not right. You can't like feed us propaganda.
Yeah.
And it's funny how me and you or like other coaches that I've talked to or just people who get into this in general kind of just know. And then they just relearn it as they get older. It's funny. And what do
Yeah.
you think about that?
Bro, I think that's crazy as fuck. Because I honestly do believe a lot of people that we do come across coach wise have that knowing, bro. Like when I was younger, I didn't know exactly what the fuck it was, but I knew it was always something. I
Right.
always wanted to know like exactly what that was, exactly what was the real way, what was the proper way to follow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I just didn't feel like what I was being taught then was the proper way. I always wanted to know more. And I was always kind of shut down. Like, you know, growing up with people that are, or family that are Christian, or not just only Christian, but religious in general,
Yeah.
when you ask those questions, it's seen as like fucking blasphemy. Like, you shouldn't be asking that
Right.
because they have this certain closed minded mindset. But I was always like, that's bullshit. Like, it's got to be more. It's got to be a better way, you know?
Yeah, and that's it's very common, and I think, don't quote me on this guy. I don't know if it's the right word, but I think it's an oligarchy, and it's the idea that thoughts want to, or like belief systems are living, just like everything
Hmm.
else. Like in the fourth dimension, they're all living. It's kind of like with sports fans. When you become a fan of a certain team, it almost feels like you can never stop being a fan of that team. It's kind of like an
Yeah.
oligarchy. And mind you,
Hmm.
I could be wrong with that. I don't know if I'm using the correct word, but I've seen it in a couple other people's videos to where these thoughts and these beliefs will entrap you into something. It's kind of like your limiting beliefs where you go and
Yeah.
you go into the same thing. You have a shitty relationship or you can't make money and you go in these cycles. That's what kind of like these major beliefs is like with religion. And once you get into it, the belief's job is to get as many people into the belief field as possible, which religion, they do a very good job at that. And two, it
Right.
makes it very difficult to leave because guess what? When you leave it, it gets weaker. You are their oxygen, you know
Hmm.
what I mean? So it makes it very
100%.
difficult because you'll automatically thinking it's you, be like, nah, I can't do that. But when in actuality, what it's doing is closing your mind on purpose so you can't actually, you know, have a chance to go and experience other belief systems.
Right. Yeah, bro. It puts you in a box, bro. And that was always the thing that I hated. I hated being put in boxes, bro. Hated being get like putting labels on things and putting labels on myself.
Yep.
It's like fuck that, bro. Like I want to be more. I want to be experience more. And dealing with those certain things, bro, it puts you in a certain spot, like you saying, to where that's all you can, experience. And that's the right thing or whatever. And I wasn't fucking with that.
Yeah, no, I think the world nowadays, and mind you, it's a tough boundary to really say this, but I really do think that the world nowadays is always trying to put you in a box. And like when you think about school, as we're on the
Mm-hmm.
topic of that, they will put you in boxes. And you know what they do when you get into the public schooling system or even private, mind you, but I never went to a private school, so I can't speak on it exactly. But it's like they will put you in a box when you try to speak out away from the norm, when you try to go like you don't want to do X, Y, and Z, you want to do it this way. They're always like, no, you're wrong. And you're taught at such a young, a young age from kindergarten to preschool to
Mm-hmm.
always kind of hail to your authority. It's like you cannot believe in yourself. You have to go double check with your teacher. So you
Right.
start at a young age and you're automatically taught that you're wrong. So you stop trusting your intuition, which is a key part of manifestation, as you know.
Yeah.
And it's funny because all the spiritually enlightened people, when they're younger, they try to fight that. And then when they get older, guess what? They find this shit and, they start creating their reality. And it's kind of funny how the people who, they enjoy that stuff, they never wake up. It's cool
Yeah,
to,
bro.
kind of look at it from that perspective.
Absolutely, bro. It's fucking crazy, man. Like it really is crazy. But I think it's always funny and, jumping off topic a little bit, but staying on topic. I always think about the concept of revision, right?
Yep.
And how some of these things that have happened to me before shaped who I am now. Just like I don't feel the need to go back and change these things. I don't feel the need to think a bit different about these things.
Yep.
Because they form the mindset that I have now, and the mindset that I have now is something that I'm, very grateful for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think we're on the same page with this. I have a lovely aunt. Okay, and when
Mm-hmm.
I was younger, I'm not gonna go into full detail about it, but I had some stuff happen when I was very young. I ended up moving in with my aunt because my parents basically could not take care of me. Something
Mm-hmm.
happened to where I needed to go live with my aunt. And I remember at the age of 4 or 3 years old, I ended up moving back with my mom. And my aunt would always say to me, she was like, I wish you would have stayed with us. And mind you, you know, I probably would have enjoyed that more. But
Mm-hmm.
I always tell her, I was like, I don't. I don't wish I went with you because it would have been different. You know,
Right.
the environment that I had with, my mother and my stepfather was not a very good environment. Mind you, I'm not here to talk bad about my mother. That's all she knew. And she was in a
Mm-hmm.
very, very bad environment with her husband, who is a complete douchebag.
Right.
Um, and I always tell my aunt this. I'm like, I don't wish that I moved in with you guys. I don't wish that. Because if I were to have went and done that, if I were to went and have lived with you guys, I could be a totally different person. The pain and the desire to be more because, in that household, I was boxed in a box. I always had to babysit for my brothers. I couldn't always go out and do the stuff I wanted, even though I had freedom. But I couldn't get a car because I couldn't go get a job because I had to babysit my four other, siblings. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like the desire to be more and to do more pushed me into where I am now. And I think if I had all of the freedom, in the better living situation and maybe, more money to go do that because I had more money, I wouldn't be
Mm-hmm.
where I am. And I think that's a really cool thing you brought up because everybody is so focused on revising their past and shadow work. I need to
Mm-hmm.
fix myself to be able to do this, but why is that the case?
Yeah.
You don't need to do that. Because when
Right.
people look into shadow work and they get so into revision, like you were saying, guess what? You're always going to find something wrong. You're going to find the wrong that you're looking for, and you get trapped into shadow work, which is a whole, a new conversation that we're going to have right now is shadow work and how
Yeah.
people get lost in that shit.
Yeah, bro. And that's the thing because I'll never like be against shadow work because shadow work's done a lot for me.
Right.
But at the same time, like you saying, bro, with anything, bro, you have to be able to manage these things. If I'm jumping into something that maybe I want to pay attention to or bring awareness to so I can better myself in a certain way, that's fine. But once you get into a certain point and you start digging and digging and digging and digging and continuously digging, bro, you're just fucking putting yourself back farther and farther. You're digging a bigger hole for yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel as though there's definitely a way to do certain bouts of shadow work in a productive manner, but at a certain point, bro, shadow work is not meant for you to just continuously be, doing fucking shadow work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like,
There are certain things.
yeah, there's this analogy that I had, and I got told a long time ago. I used to be really into shadow work, and as another
Mm-hmm.
creator that's, on the platform, Tone, he was my mentor. You know this. And it
Yep.
was the first, not even the first year, he was up in my apartment. And I remember him telling me while I was doing shadow work, he told me this quote. And I don't know if this is verbatim, but he said, look, shadow work is cool, but the more you look, the more you will find. So you need to know when to shut it off. And the analogy I
Mm-hmm.
got from that, as, I remember it, year in and year out, is that shadow work is only supposed to be like imagine like you're walking into a dark room, like your basement, the lights off, it's dark. You want to know, you want to be able to navigate your way around. So what do? Do you turn on the flashlight on your phone? Maybe. Maybe you turn on the light. That is all shadow work is. It's turning on the light. Once you have awareness of what it is that is holding you down, then you're supposed to stop the shadow work. That is, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion, what it is, and I don't know exactly what you think it is, and it'd be cool to kind of see your perspective, but I think shadow work is basically like turning the light on an issue, and once you know what it is, it's about going in and changing it and making it into something that you actually want. For example, if you grew up and you always were around, a shitty love interest, and you realized that you were creating, bad SPs, bad specific persons in every single one of your relationships, your job for shadow work would to be to find out the situation, what caused it, and then guess what? Give it to yourself as if you don't have that issue because now you know what's causing it. And what do you think about shadow
Bro,
work?
I 100% agree with that shit. Like, yeah, bro, like, you have this darkness, you shed a little light on it, you bring it to your awareness, and you fucking cut it off. It's not about continuously hammering and hammering and hammering at it, bro, because, like you say, you just dig up more fucking issues, you know what I'm saying? And that's not the way to go, bro. But, yeah, bro, you have these issues, these, underlying beliefs, you shed light on them, and now you know what the fuck to affirm or whatever you need to do to combat those fucking issues.
Right. And like, I'm curious. I know you said shadow work helped you a lot. So what was, if you don't mind me asking,
Yeah.
what is like the most profound experience you've had when it comes to like digging into yourself? Because I know in relation to your school community and your brand, it's called atherism, if I'm not correct. I think I'm
Etherism.
etherism.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so and it kind of has like an ominous tone, like it's very deep, like the word itself is deep. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm curious if that kind of ties into yourself. Like how deep did you go? What did you find when you were doing the shadow work, and how did that help you? And what was your process?
Yeah, bro. So I've done a good amount of shadow work for sure. But the most profound experience I've had was honestly, which is really cool because it was in regards to my sister. Like my sister is like me and her like best friends, right?
Okay.
And certain situations happened when we were younger, which kind of affected me, you know, in terms of both of us. So it would affect my daily life. I don't want to go too deep into what it exactly was,
Yeah.
but I had an experience with. I'm also, you know, a pretty psychedelic type of guy, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so we had this experience together, threw some back or whatever, and we went back to the moment together.
Really?
Yeah, bro, and we quite literally reshaped what happened and made amends with the situation and literally took a fucking huge load off of me. Because I had this thing where I always felt like I needed to go above and beyond to help anybody. Like, you know what I'm saying? Anybody near me, I need to go above and beyond. And if I wasn't able to help them, I was like fucking the worst person in the world. You
Right.
know what I
So a
mean?
people pleaser, like you had to go help everyone. You were always trying to please everybody besides yourself. You put yourself second.
Exactly, bro. Exactly, bro. Always felt as though, and the situation that happened was the reason. And in order for me to stop trying to fucking people please everybody and stop trying to, you know, put other people on a pedestal besides myself,
Yep.
I had to go back to that moment and figure out why the fuck I was doing that. And it was because of that. And within that moment, with that experience that we had together, we were both able to separate ourselves from that and grow from it. And now I don't have that issue anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, that's actually it's pretty cool because as somebody who has like not had any psychedelic experiences, I have never
Mm-hmm.
done anything like I've done a lot of bogus sugar, but besides that.
Yeah.
I've never really done any psychedelic things, and it's cool to kind of hear the experience. So when you mean you guys went back and did it together, you mean like you went and you visualized together, or what were you doing, or how did the psychedelics help
Yeah.
you?
So psychedelics, I am a very I've done a lot of fucking psychedelics. Like a lot. A stupid fucking amount, right?
Yeah.
But it helps a lot because it gets you in the mind state. It's like a mind altering thing where it gets you in the mind state of being able to visualize very vividly the exact situation.
Okay.
And it puts you back into, like, literally puts you back into where you were then. Like, for me, that's what it was. It put me back into that exact situation. And I was able to visualize it, feel it as if it was true. And this is how, you know, talk about fucking Neville Goddard and shit or whatever, but you genuinely can feel it with a lot of emotion. It's easy to conjure the emotion and it's easy to put yourself back in the position where you were.
Right.
So being there, I was able to visualize it, feel what went wrong there, and change it from that point. And since my sister was there and it was in regards to her, she was able to be there to kind of guide me through it. She was able to be there to tell me like what happened wasn't your fault.
Right.
Putting me back in a situation of when I was a child and this thing happened, she was able to be there this time to tell me that there's nothing that I can do to, you know,
Yeah.
that wasn't my fault. So I was able to shift away from that. So the psychedelic genuinely puts you in a position of being able to really genuinely feel the moment and visualize the moment like as vividly as possible. So it helps you put yourself back in that position so you can change it from that point, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that's cool. And what psychedelics were you using per se? Because I know there's a lot of different ones. Obviously, some more light, some more intense. I'm assuming you weren't taking a substance like DMT. I've heard a lot about that.
You know, yeah,
That's crazy. That one's crazy.
yeah. DMT will be sometime down the line for me for sure, but I haven't fucked with that one yet. So I've started. Crazy thing is, I started with LSD.
Okay.
That was the first thing I ever took, and from that point it went into magic shrooms. And that was what I was doing with that scenario. Shrooms are it's a very spiritual drug, bro. So it's like, it really helps you get into those moments of spirituality and, you know, spiritual essence as far as, you know, growth.
Yeah. Huh. That's cool. I've heard a lot of good things about psychedelics. I know my buddy took them, not for spiritual purpose, just to like fuck around.
Yeah.
I remember he was sitting there, like his cousin, he was tweaking. He was
Yeah.
absolutely tweaking. And I remember it threw him off. He went to go lay down. He was watching Friends, and as he was watching Friends, the show, he starts seeing a countdown. Everything around him turned black, and the numbers were in red. It was like 10, 9. And he said he went.
Yeah.
He fell asleep at like 0, but he said it was the longest 10 seconds of his life. And hearing that story
Bro.
kind of made me never want to try them.
Yeah, bro. It's a big, like, I always say if you want to try, start with shrooms and take a small dose. You won't even like, you're not really trip. It'll just have you like more in a better mood.
Yeah.
First thing I did was LSD. I wasn't doing that for a spiritual reason. We were just fucking around. I'm looking at my friend or whatever, and he just looks like a fucking animated drawing and shit. Like, look like fucking anime. Like that shit was wild, bro. And I drove off that shit. That was the dumbest shit I
You
ever
were
done in my life.
driving on that?
Yeah, bro. It's the dumbest shit I ever did in my life for
How
sure.
was that?
Fucking crazy, bro. First corner I hit, it really fucks with your depth perception. Like LSD fucks with your depth perception. So what may seem like maybe here could possibly be over there type shit. So I hit the corner and somebody was cutting their grass. And like from my perception, this motherfucker just glitched into the street, like teleported into the street, bro. In reality, the motherfucker probably just walked a few steps and took a step into the street. What I saw is this motherfucker was here and then he was here. Wild ass shit.
That's
I was safe though, made it safe.
that's crazy.
Luckily.
That's absolutely crazy. It's funny what the mind will actually do
Yeah, bro.
realistically. You know, when you
It's
get on
wild.
these substances and I feel like it kind of and mind you, this is from the perspective as an outsider, I feel like it kind of unlocks some of the abilities that we're not innately able to use, like, you know, the enhanced visualization part. Like I've heard a lot
Yeah.
about like spirituality and psychedelics when it comes to like shadow work, like you said, where they go back and they visualize X, Y, and Z, and it's like it literally not only like when you visualize normally, oh, you can see it, it feels like you're there, but when you do it off of psychedelics, I've heard that it like you're there.
Yeah, bro.
Like there is
You
no
there.
differentiating it. If you were to be asked that a day later, it actually felt like you were inside of your own head.
Yeah, bro. Like honestly felt like I was 5, 6 years old again. Like that's how it felt. Shit was crazy. But it definitely, like, honestly, when I did the LSD the first time, like, genuinely, I was already on the spiritual path 100%, but that fucking opened my mind up, like, 10 times more.
Hmm.
Changed
Yeah.
my life.
Yeah, I would assume it would. Like I said, I've never done them personally. Will I? Maybe down the line. Maybe down the
Yeah.
line. Maybe we do an IRL stream.
Real shit.
That could be fun. That could
You
be
fucking
fun.
tripping on stream?
You'd have
Yeah,
to
that'd
be
turned.
my trip guy though. I'd
Yeah,
kill
bro, I
you if
got
I
you for
woke
sure.
up had a bad trip though. You fucking wake up, your dreads are cut off.
Hey, that should be whack as fuck. Yeah,
No.
no, I'll keep you right. I'll get you right, though, for sure.
But we might have to do that. That'd be fun. It'd be a fun content. You know what I mean?
Facts, bro.
So, kind of going into a different mode here, and I know you said you kind of got into spirituality when you were younger. Do you have any remembrance of like conscious manifesting, like before you turned 18?
Like, as far as a kid,
Yeah, like because you said you found this when you were like a lot younger. So it's
mm,
I'm curious to see like what your mindset was about like manifestation, or did you not really know about actual manifestation then?
yeah, then I wasn't really into actual manifestation.
Okay.
It was more so meditation, freeing the mind, like Buddhism type of shit.
Okay.
I didn't start like consciously manifesting until I got to like high school.
Makes sense.
That was kind of crazy.
What was your
That was crazy for
first
sure.
conscious manifesting? Like, if you remember what it is.
Yeah, bro. I was so I was at a track meet, bro, and I was like, it was just bro, bam, she was fire. I walked past her one time. I was like, yeah, like that's it right there. Like that's gonna be me type shit.
Right.
That was it, bro. Didn't even think about it no more after that. Literally like 2 weeks later, same type of scenario. For some reason, a situation aligned to where we end up having to talk to each other. She was went to a different school, all this.
Yep.
And yeah, she talked to me, said some shit to me, and was like, you know, whatever, this, that, and the third. Asked me for my snap, got my shit, and fuck, that was fucking my SP at that time. And I was like, damn, that was quick as fuck. And it wasn't even nothing that I genuinely was like superly, you know, like overly thinking about. And this how you know, like, when you can detach yourself from the situation, man, that shit comes in pretty fucking fast.
Yeah, and like a lot of the times, and what people don't really understand about like the speed at which your manifestation comes in. And I always talk about satisfying the desire, okay? Now, and a lot of people don't understand what it means to actually satisfy the desire. And I would love your take on this after I'm done explaining this. But I don't know if you've watched some of my videos where I talk about the food analogy, okay?
Yep.
Where I say manifestation is like eating. So when you get hungry in the morning, eventually you'll eat until you're full. That's like manifestation. When you get the desire, you're supposed to give it to yourself until you're satisfied, right? Until you kill the desire, because when you desire something, that means you don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and a lot of people will come out of that thinking, oh, well, why do I have the desire again? And I always go back to food. You're going to get hungry every day, multiple times a day,
Right.
sometimes, you know, especially if it's something that you really want. Like,
Mhm.
again, like you're eating. So you're going to kill that desire multiple times a day. until you're full. Now, with this, some people get full or get satisfied quicker. And like in your instance with the woman, you said it one time, didn't think about it again, that came in. And a lot of people don't understand how to get to that point. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna walk a lot of people listening, and this will be a light bulb moment. So you were an athlete. I'm gonna assume you were always in good shape. You always
Yeah.
stuck to your principles, which meant
100%.
you had a lot of inner conviction, which is just confidence. Now, when you have inner conviction, and you have conviction in what you say, and your mind trusts what you say to be true, you can satisfy your internal world that much quicker because guess what? It trusts you fully. And as someone, like
Mm-hmm.
I said, you were an athlete. You were in great shape. I'm assuming you stuck to your principles as an athlete from another athlete. You know, when you're doing that
Yeah.
shit, you always stick to what you tell yourself. You had high
100%.
levels of conviction. So
Yeah.
I would assume that attributed to why. You would say one thing, you didn't have the desire again because guess what? It was enough to fulfill this, like the desire. And a lot of people don't
Mm-hmm.
understand that. So I was kind of wondering your perspective on that, sort of analogy.
Yeah, bro. I like that analogy a lot, actually. Because certain things, bro, at certain times, you might desire something more than other things, bro. So it might take a little bit more to satisfy that fucking desire. Some things might come up. You may be able to affirm a few times and let it go because you're not really tripping about it. Other things you really might want a lot. So it might take a few times, like like you said with the food analogy. Shit, you might get hungry 5, 6 times that day.
Yep.
But you know what I'm saying? You eat or whatever, and you fulfill that fucking, you kill the desire. 100% agree with that. Like at the time, bro, like yeah, I was in good shape. We were good as fuck. Like I wasn't never tripping about that shit. We had just fucking cooked her school. So I wasn't like really tripping about that shit. I
Right.
knew she was some fine shit. I'm like, yeah, why not? The conviction is crazy, bro. Like having that conviction that's really the move.
Yeah, and it's a lot of people don't understand how to actually build conviction because there's a lot of people who get into this at a very, very low spot. And a lot of people get into this because
Mm-hmm.
of SP. Okay, I did.
Yeah.
I got into it because I was looking on YouTube how to get my ex back, and I found
Mm-hmm.
it. And it's funny because a lot of people who are in that desperate state, they don't really have, high levels of conviction. They don't have the ability. Their mind doesn't trust them because, again, they come in a desperate state. They're very insecure, and some of the times they don't even keep the promises to themselves. Like all they want is
Mm-hmm.
this person, and now mind you, you can manifest whoever you want. That's never the thing here. But a lot of people who get into this are in a bad spot initially. They don't have any conviction, so it's going to take longer for their mind
Mm-hmm.
to believe what you're saying, which means you will have to do more to get this thing because conviction is the exact level that, like, if you have a high level of conviction, that is why certain people who don't know anything about affirming visualization can manifest so easily, is because
Mm-hmm.
their mind believes them 100%. And and I'm curious to what you think and what you attribute to be the reason why, like, certain people have, a higher level of conviction, and what you do if you were in a shitty spot to actually raise your conviction.
Yeah, bro. 100%. Like I've manifested shit from a shitty ass spot.
Yep.
From being fucking depressed and all this other shit. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, bro, like certain things, certain times, you might not have a certain amount of conviction to start off with, which is fine. I think a lot of people get fucked up because they feel like, oh, if it doesn't work out in this time span, I'm just fucking doomed. It's not true, bro. Sometimes you just may need to affirm a little bit more. Me personally, when I'm feeling this kind of way, or I'm feeling it from a state of desperation, or not necessarily desperation, but a state of lack per se, bro, I genuinely really love robotic affirming and meditation and combining the two, bro. Because from a certain time, bro, at a certain point in time, you will feel a certain way. You might feel a little shitty. You get in your robotic affirming state, you affirm how you need to affirm, and you meditate to bring your nervous system back to an even, you know what I'm saying, even fucking playing field.
Right.
So a lot of times, bro, when you're in that state, your nervous system is out of whack like a motherfucker.
100%.
Bro, and you need to bring that shit down and ground yourself in the now, which worries so much. A lot of people worry so much about what the fuck is going to happen or the mistakes that they made that they don't worry about now. And I always talk about you ever read the book The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle?
I have not fully. I have not fully read it through. Sometimes, like when I get books, I'll skim through them. I'll open a page and then I'll go
Hmm.
read. I'll read a page and put it down because I
Yeah.
sometimes I don't like sitting there and reading for a lot. But I read bits and pieces of it, not enough
Yeah,
to
you
retain
you
all
know
of it.
enough.
But
You
I know
know enough
enough. I
though. You
know
know the
enough about
premise.
being present.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all the book talks about is being present. And a lot of times, a lot of people's issues is they're not present.
No.
If you ask somebody like what they've been feeling or how they're feeling when they're manifesting or they're affirming, 9 times out of 10, they thinking about some other shit that's going to happen or thinking about what the fuck they did instead of paying attention to what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
And the best way to bring yourself back to the fucking present moment is to meditate, breathe. And I tell motherfuckers, you need to fucking breathe because a lot of times when you're in these high states of, or your nervous system is out of whack, your breath is either super rapid or you're fucking holding your breath. A lot of people don't understand that. Like, you need to breathe.
Yep.
Take a breath, meditate, bring your energy back down. It'll help you be ground yourself in the present moment. And that's all that's needed to be, bro. It's all that needs really to be done. And that helps me a lot. I don't know about you. I'm kind of speaking what helps you.
Yeah. So with me, I try to do this every day. Now, mind you, I'm not always successful because I get lost and, maybe I got certain tasks. Maybe I'm dealing with this business thing. Maybe I'm talking to a client, and I just get, stuck in the present moment. It's very easy for this reality, which is what it's meant to do, is suck you away from your inner world. But what
Mm-hmm.
I like to do, and on a good day, I wake up and I do my stuff, and after I'm done, because after you're going and injecting all these beliefs into your body, what does it do? It's like the cold plunge analogy that I think I talked to you about earlier. I don't know if it was on this or just when we were texting. But it was about how when you get into a cold plunge, guess what?
Mm-hmm.
Your body is tensing up. That's just kind of like your nervous system when you're putting all this new stuff in there. You have all these new ideas, belief systems. It's going to tense up.
Right.
And like you said, you're not going to be breathing. You're going to be sped up. And at the end of the day, you
Mm-hmm.
want to be slow, especially internally. Because if you're fast, guess what? Things are going to go through the crack. You're not going to actually be aware of what is going on in your internal world. And when you're not aware, you're going to live in a reality of not being aware. And what that
Right.
means is you're not going to know what is going to be created because, again, the 3D is frozen imagination. And if you don't know
Mm-hmm.
what's going on here, you're never going to know what's going to come out in front of you. And that's not where we want to be. So, what I like to do is every time after I go and do an internal experience, right, I like to do breath work. I prefer Wim Hof.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, I would do that sometimes 3 times a day, genuinely. And like,
That's real.
I remember I would talk to other coaches about that, and like sometimes they'd be like, "Oh, you're tweaking." I'd be like, "Well, when you think about it, if you have the time and you're prioritizing your inner world, guess what? Is it really that bad to spend 20 to 30 minutes if you need to, if you're anxious, to slow yourself down so you can continue to be in a spot where you're aware of what's happening internally so you can shape your inner world to what it needs to be?" I was like, I don't think that's crazy.
Yeah, not at all. Especially most of the time, people spend that time fucking scrolling and shit.
And that's
What,
another thing
like,
I really,
waste of
it's a
time.
very natural way to segue into this. And I really wanted to talk about overconsumption in the
Oh
3D
yeah.
world, especially for people who have been doing this for a long time, like me and you. And this is something
Yeah.
that I personally had issues with. And I would love to know your kind of whole take on the overconsumption thing. Mind you, I've been doing this for 5 years. And what I realized, and I had a slump. I remember me and Tone were living together for a while, and obviously, iron sharpens iron. We live together. When
Mm-hmm.
I see him getting stuff in, it makes me really want to focus on my internal world, and vice versa. But when me and him moved, and I moved to a separate apartment, we were still in the same building. I remember we both talked about this on a live recently. We both went through for like 3 months a period to where our spiritual ego had grown to the point where we weren't doing our practices. We weren't doing X, Y, and Z. And I was personally over consuming and not inner consuming enough. And guess what?
Mm-hmm.
I went back to my baseline, which was I wasn't making enough money. I wasn't doing X, Y, and Z. And I kind of want to know your opinion on overconsumption and what you do personally to help, keep yourself away from over consuming.
Yeah, bro. So, bro, I talk about that shit a lot on my fucking TikTok, bro, because it's so fucking easy to over consume a lot of content that you don't really need, bro.
Yeah.
And I know this because my whole life, bro, I've always been introvert, always been quiet, but I've always been a fucking thinker. And I've always wanted to obtain more and more and more and more knowledge because I felt like the more knowledge that I obtain, the better I can traverse this fucking life, which is just not true, bro. Me being a thinker for so fucking long led me to the point of understanding that the more you think, the more you put yourself in a hole, bro. The longer you think, the more you think, all you have to think about is thoughts. It's
Yep.
like my boy Alan Watts said, bro. And you're not helping anything. And a lot of times, bro, people have the tools to manifest what they want to manifest. But the more knowledge they consume, they feel like, oh, wait, I shouldn't probably do it this way because this person is saying this. Or wait, this person's saying this, so maybe I should try this. And either they never start or they flip-flop methods too much because they consistently consuming content. And that's bullshit, bro. And that's where a lot of people fuck up at. And I can understand that, bro. Even now, like, sometimes I'll be scrolling and be like, damn, that low-key makes sense. Maybe I should add that. And I think, like, what I'm doing now is working. I really shouldn't have to add anything else. Like, I
Right.
can have respect for what people are saying, but I don't need to consistently consume shit and continuously add because it's not the right thing to do, bro. So what I like to do instead of fucking overly consuming all day, I genuinely like to do other shit. I love to read, bro. I love making like fucking literature. Like I fucking read poems and shit. Like that's just what I like to do. I
Yeah.
just like to take my mind off of trying to consume more manifestation content and just bullshit content in general
Yep.
with productive things, bro. Hit the gym up. You know what I'm saying? Go fucking have fun. Go to the movies or some shit. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Anything like that, bro. What about you?
And like for me, and what I meant by over consuming, and I really like your analogy when over consuming content, I meant also like in general, like you're consuming,
Mm-hmm.
let's just say YouTube, or you're watching a lot of TV and you get caught
Mm-hmm.
doing these
Yeah.
things that are just killing your time, which mind you, that's cool if you're in a reality that you enjoy. But a lot of
Right.
people, again, will overconsume all day, not do their inner world, and either end up losing the reality that they're in because they're not maintaining, they don't know what's going on in here, and you get lost in the bullshit,
Yeah.
or you overconsume in a reality that you hate to escape it, and then never do the stuff and never confront the things that need to be confronted to get there. But like with
Mm.
me personally, I like to leave myself notes. And if you've ever read, oh man, Atomic Habits,
Mm.
read the book Atomic Habits, okay? It tells you to set yourself up for success. And your environment plays more into your habits than anything else. So what I'll do is, I will have it in the morning to where I already have my headphones up, and when I open my phone, it's already on the frequency that I like. So I'm obligated to meditate right when I wake up.
Mm-hmm.
No bullshit, no phone, no scrolling. Boom. When I come into my office, which is, my film studio, it's where I do my work. Sometimes I game in here. I got my PlayStation and shit. But guess what? When I walk in, my journal is right there. So what do? I walk in here, I immediately see my journal with my pen. I already have the date. I already have the preset thing written out. So what do? I do my habit because it's already there. I already journal. So I like to set my environment up for success. I like
Mm-hmm.
to set my environment up to where it reminds me to do the things that got me to the reality where I enjoy myself, or the things that I know or I've been told I need to do, for the people listening. Like if I or Rico tells you, hey, this is what you need to do to get X, Y, and Z, this is what we recommend, then set yourself up in your life to be able to do it, to where it's easy for you to do the right shit. Just like for someone who wanted to lose weight, okay? Like if you're thinking about it logically, guess what? If you want to have dessert in your house, but you also want to lose weight, put the dessert on the top shelf to where you need to get a stool. Because guess what? It's harder. It's more inconvenient for you to
Mm-hmm.
do the thing you don't want to do. And people don't do the inconvenient things. Okay.
Facts.
And another point that I want to get into is you're talking about like going and doing stuff. Like a lot of people will just sit in the crib. And this is something, again, that my mentor taught me, Tone, back when I was learning this, was that to get out of the fucking house. Because not only are you opening up more doors, more avenues, because when you go and talk to a new person, it's like a portal. You're getting transformed into their life. And guess what? That's another person who could bring you your manifestation. That's another person
Real
who
shit,
could bring
bro.
you X, Y, and Z. So my biggest thing is always to get out of the house. Always to go meet new people. Mind you, let's say for you, you go to the gym, right? When you go to the gym, guess what? You want to meet new people? Make it a thing to go talk to one or two new people. I try to do that every day. Now, mind you, am I always successful? No, because nobody's perfect. But I find it a habit to go, and I like to go compliment people, genuinely compliment people, not just, oh, I want to talk to this
Mm-hmm.
person. Let me find some, oh, I don't even like their shirt, but I'm going to tell them they got a good shirt. No,
Yeah.
genuinely like compliment people, get into their world, ask them questions, and you'll start to, one, you will get out of your own mind because you're genuinely like, you want to know more about this person. And not only that, it gives you something to do. You get out of the house, you interact with other people, and the more social connection, the more interaction you get with other people, guess what you're not doing? Worrying, doubting, thinking. You're not thinking, you're present. Because when you're
Facts.
with other people, especially new people, what does that force you to be? Present. So I think that would be my number one tip on people like to actually go do something productive is just get out of the house. If you want to manifest something, go manifest a social life. The
Facts.
biggest investment that you could possibly have.
Yeah, that's the way to go, bro. I 100% agree. Like going back to the setting yourself up properly, like during your day with your habits and shit like that, bro. Same thing, bro. When I wake up, first thing I do, I write, I read, I meditate. I got my book right next to my bed. I got my fucking shit, my journal right here. Keep that shit right over here. I got my like everything, bro. My meditation, my frequencies, all that shit, bro. Like it's a great way to, like slingshot you into a good fucking day, bro. Like another thing, bro. If you don't have, say you don't have to like go to work that day, bro. Get your ass out the fucking bed as soon as possible.
Horse.
Don't fucking stay in the bed. You should only be in the bed if you're going to sleep that night, bro. Like real shit. If you don't have like anything else to do, get up and do something productive, bro. And I think that's really important for not only building discipline, but building trust in yourself. Building trust in yourself and the understanding that I'm a type of motherfucker that makes shit happen anyway.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm just sitting around all day, your mind, you thinking, bro, you're not making shit happen. You're not doing shit for yourself that is benefiting yourself in any way.
Right.
So it's kind of harder for you to build that conviction, how we talked about earlier.
Yeah, and I think discipline really plays a role into that. Now, mind you, I meditate in the bed. Not
Mm-hmm.
always, but sometimes I will. I'll grab my headphones and I'll lay there and I'll meditate as soon as I wake up. But guess what? A lot of people, they don't have the ability to do that and then get out of the bed once they're done. I
Right.
do. And I think I think what people really need is discipline. And this kind of like a segue into the next topic I really wanted to talk about, which is discipline and how it, relates to manifestation. And I think so many people are scared to talk about that. And mind you, there's a lot of women in this field. A
Yeah.
lot. So you kind of only get one, you know, perspective when it comes to that, at least sex-wise, because women and men think a little bit differently. And I think it's cool that as the community has grown, more and more men have gotten into this field and kind of talk from that perspective because we think differently, men and women, right? I think it's a good balance for the community here, like me, you, or some other guys like the Power of I Am, or Tone, or I don't even know if there's many other guys besides that I even know. I think that
Yeah.
might actually be the core four.
Right.
But like you have all these women. I think what a lot of people get from the men, and it's a very, very thing that I've seen from you, from me, from the Power of I Am, Eric, me. We all talk about discipline and how important it is. And I know in male culture in general, we are always talked about discipline, but nobody is, really has the kahunas to talk about discipline when it comes to manifestation. So what would be your biggest gripe on discipline, how people teach it, and where you kind of see people go wrong with discipline when it's merged with manifestation?
I think a lot of people, like you said, it is very woman centered. And when they hear the word discipline, I feel like it kind of kind of makes you feel like a lot of times people don't want to do the work, bro. Like, and discipline is not necessarily doing a fucking bunch of work. Discipline is about consistency, bro. Bro, for example, when I had my fight camp beginning of end of October all the way through November.
Right.
I'm not fucking going to be motivated every fucking day to do this shit.
No.
This shit gets fucking tough, you know what I'm saying?
Of course.
But I have the discipline to get up no matter how I feel and do what the fuck I need to do. And when you have those states of feeling shitty during your manifestation process, what are you going to do? Are you going to rely on motivation? Or are you going to rely on your discipline? You know what I'm saying? And that's the whole switch. I feel like that's a big determining factor on whether you get your shit or you don't get your shit.
Right.
Because if every time you're not feeling good, you're not doing what you need to do, bro, you're not gonna be able to stay consistent enough to reap results. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And what a lot of people don't talk about is with discipline, not only do you need to be disciplined to continue doing the stuff that you know that you need to do, right? Your habits, your meditations, affirming, visualizing, whatever you do. Not only that, but the mind keeps score. When you don't do these things, what is it doing? It's showing you you're not true with your word. Because if you know you
Mm-hmm.
need to do something, you don't do it, what is it doing? It's making your conviction level go down.
Yeah.
And the lower your
Facts.
conviction is, what does it mean? More resistance. So when you're saying something, your brain, the lower your level of conviction, and not a lot of people talk about this. And I originally got this from Neuro Knowledge. Okay, he
Mm-hmm.
talks about conviction a lot. That's one of his
Yeah,
staples.
bro. Facts.
But he said that the mind, you can't lie to the mind. Okay, it knows what you're doing, and when you don't do what you know you need to do, it drops your conviction down. And the lower your conviction is, the harder it will be able to manifest. Because in manifestation, it's all about just getting your mind to accept what you are telling it, the subconscious mind. Because whatever's in the subconscious projects out into reality. And again, nobody talks about this. So they'll be like, oh, why is it taking so long? It's because you have no conviction. You don't stand true to your promises. And guess what? The lower the conviction, the higher the invisible wall is between the conscious and the subconscious that it will take for you to penetrate your desire in there for you to get what you want.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Yeah, I definitely hear Neuro Knowledge talk about that shit a lot, bro, and I agree with that. Bro, you just like you literally fucking up the trust that you have within yourself, bro. It's like you got to do this shit. You may not like it, but that doesn't change the fact that you still got to do this shit.
Right.
So if you know you have to do it and you don't do it, you laying yourself down. You know what I'm saying? Same thing is like if you put yourself in a position of talking about somebody else. If it's somebody that you love and they tell you they're gonna do something and they don't do it, you kind of like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying?
You
Like
don't
it's kind of
trust them.
diminishing the trust. Exactly.
And the
You're
more they
diminishing
do
the
it,
trust.
guess what? The more it goes down until you're like, I don't trust a single thing this fucking person says. It doesn't matter how many
Right.
times they say it, how much emotional conviction that they have when they say it. It's like, I don't fucking trust them at all until they do what? They build it back. And a lot of people need to build up their conviction. And I think one of
Yeah.
the things that I do that really helps is every day when I wake up and I journal, I put down 3 promises, right? And sometimes I'll do more, but most of the time I just do 3. And what it does for the subconscious mind, it shows that you're sticking to those. If you do them every day, you know what I mean? But do you have any like sort of practices that help you stay on top of developing your conviction? If so, what are they? And how do you make sure you continuously build momentum in that part?
hmm So I really like this a lot because a lot of my life I feel like I wasn't a consistent person.
Yep.
Like when I was younger and I'm like, I don't like that I'm not consistent. So how the fuck do I change this shit? I bought this book called The Compound Effect. And it's a really good fucking book, bro. And it's about doing what you can every fucking day. Consistency is not about going a fucking 1,000% every day, bro. It's not realistic. You're not going to feel the fucking best every day. But if you can show up and give what you can give, bro, that's all that matters. You're consistent from that point.
Right.
So what I like to do is I'll take like 5 things. Like I make sure I journal every day. I make sure I read every day. I make sure I meditate every day. I make sure for example, I practice Japanese every day. Just these 4 things that I write down, I make sure I do every fucking day. If I'm not feeling the best, bro, fuck it. I'll read 2 pages. But at the end of the day, I know I fucking, I stood strong on my promise and I read something.
Right.
If I'm not feeling the best and I need to do fucking practice my Japanese for 10 minutes, I know I still did it.
Right.
You need to make sure you build that discipline within yourself by taking what you can give for that day and just fucking doing that, bro.
Yeah, and I think I really like what you said about bare minimum wins. Because when I make my promises, I know what I want to do, right? But I always put down in my promises the bare minimum promise. Like you said, I will put on there a lot reading. But guess what? I will put I promise to read 1+ page.
Mm-hmm.
That way, no matter what, because a lot of people will make these gigantic promises to themselves. I'm going to go run 3 miles today. I'm going to go do X, Y, and Z. And that's cool if you've been doing that. But like, let's say you get to the end of the day, it's 8 p.m., you just got home from work, you just did some of your side hustle, you made some TikToks. Now it's 8 p.m. You got to be up at 6. There's 2 hours left in the day, maybe 3 or 4 if you're only getting 6 hours of sleep. You still got to go run 3 miles, read 3 chapters of your book, practice Japanese for an hour. You're
Right.
not going to be able to do that. So a lot of
Fuck
people,
no.
when they hear that they need to do this conviction, they will go and make these gigantic promises and then let themselves down. And it's a trap of the ego, which is why I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying this here. And I'm glad you brought that up because it might have slipped through my head. You should always, when you make these promises to yourself, make them the bare minimum. Know in your head what you want to do. But if you don't hit that, you don't have the time, always do the bare minimum win because at the end of the day, if you say you're going to read 1+ page, how easy is it for you to do that?
Right, bro. That should have taken you like 2 minutes.
Two
If you get to
minutes.
the end of your fucking day, bro, it's 11 p.m., bro. You tired of shit. You can read one fucking page.
And if you
You
can't,
know?
guess what? You don't want it bad enough.
You don't want it bad enough, bro. You can read a fucking page, dog.
And it's a very cool to highlight because again, I don't really hear people talk about conviction, so I'm glad we're actually talking about this because it's literally one of the most important thing, if not the most, besides the actual knowledge itself when it comes to manifesting. You need to have the conviction within yourself, or you're going to make it more difficult on yourself when it comes to manifesting. And a lot of people don't understand why, like coaches, like me and you, we might be able to manifest something on autopilot in 2 weeks.
Right.
But guess what? We have a higher level of conviction, not only in ourselves because we're doing stuff with our lives, most likely. Not all coaches are like that, but knowing you personally, I know you do a lot. But on top of that, we have conviction in our manifestation skills, which is another topic I really want to get into, is like how to build your conviction in manifestation. So when you got into
Mm-hmm.
this, what were your practices to kind of always remind yourself about what you've consciously manifested, how you built up those wins to where you are now, where you're comfortable maybe manifesting something big to where, let's say, a beginner or the beginner you would have been like, I could never manifest that.
Yeah. Bro, it's back to going back to the small wins, bro. The small shit. People overlook the small shit, bro. I'll write down maybe a few things that I want to manifest during the day that are very small. Maybe this is where angel numbers come in. Maybe you want to fucking, it doesn't fucking matter. But the fact that you can bring your awareness to the point to where you manifest seeing 888 on a fucking license plate or some shit. That's still a fucking manifestation win, bro. Same thing if you want to fucking manifest a free hash brown or some shit. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like all of these small fucking things, those small things add up. It helps build your conviction. And if you write these things down and you go back to them at the end of the day, you'll be like, damn, I did manifest this shit. And now it's like, okay, now I'm starting to get in my groove. I'm starting to understand that my manifestation process does work. And I'm seeing it through these small wins. And with all that conviction, all of those things that you build up, you're able to manifest bigger things. I think that's what helped me a lot. What about you?
Yeah, so I remember when I first got into this, okay? My first conscious win when it came to manifestation was something very small, but something very specific. So when I first got into manifestation, it was after a breakup, right? It was to manifest my ex back, and it was the best thing ever. Because if I didn't go through that breakup, I would have never stumbled upon manifestation talk and all
Yep.
this stuff and found tone, and because I got coaching from him years and years ago. And guess what? I started doing my like daily journal because that was a part of the thing that he taught. And I remember I was doing my little list, which is a manifestation list. You'd be like, "Oh, I got X, Y, and Z today," and I'd write down 10 of them and forget about it. And one of the things I wrote down was that my uncle called me. Mind you, my uncle never calls me first. It was a very like, oh, whatever, I don't really care. But it was so specific and so like out of the normal when it happened later that day. I remember I just got done going to Planet Fitness at the time because it was the closest gym to me. And I went on this walk because I was making TikToks at the time. So I made a TikTok and I'm walking and I get back to this water area where like it was this dock. You'd go walk onto the dock, go sit by the water. And my uncle calls me. And I didn't think anything of it at the time. I'm talking to him. He's like, and then he says it to me. He's like, I just had this intense urge to call you and see how you were doing. And it clicked. It was like the biggest light bulb moment of my life. I was like, holy fuck. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I gotta call you back. I gotta call you back. Let me call you back in like 20 minutes. And I just sat there. And it was like a whole new world opened up to me. I was like, oh my God. I just made reality do what I wanted it to do. And it was so small, mind you.
Yeah.
It was so small and like pointless. Like it didn't give me anything throughout the day. Like, oh, he called me to ask how it was, like how my day was going and shit. But what people don't understand is that is what they need to do. They get into manifestation to
Mm-hmm.
get an SP, maybe it's to get some money, X, Y, and Z, and they stop. That's all they do. But guess what? That seems so far out of the ability, the realm of possibilities for your brain, because you've never done this. So I always recommend that people manifest small, like significant things. Like in the point of, you know that it's not a coincidence that it happened. Like the phone call from my uncle. My uncle never calls me. Or for like, let's say, if you were a beginner, you're into Japanese, you manifested somebody saying like something specific to you in Japanese. Like that would be a cool thing for you. And then if it were happy, you'd be like, hold the fuck up. I'm in Ohio. Who the
Right.
fuck?
Right. Real shit though. Yeah, bro. It should be crazy, bro. It's genuinely crazy when you have that moment of like, what the fuck? Like, there's no other way. Like, there's no way to explain this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I put this out there and it fucking came to me like this. Shit is wild, bro.
And it's really funny because after that, it was the sky's the limit. Like that moment changed my life. And what I did was I started writing down all of the moments that I consciously manifested like in my notes. So I would have like anytime I'd have doubt of my ability to manifest and doubt of, X, Y, and Z, like, oh, I can't manifest this thing. I would have a list and I'd keep it in my phone. So right when I opened the phone, I would see this list and I could just click on it. Like, you make a widget and all this shit. And I would see all of my wins and I'd go read through them every day. Now, mind you, I don't do that
Yeah.
much anymore just because I know I'm him. And I've
Type
manifested
shit.
so many things. It's like undeniable now to my conscious
Yeah.
mind. But back then, I think one of the most important things that like beginners or people who haven't had a lot of success, even if they've known about this for a long time, is to manifest these small specific things and then keep track of them. Because once you have undeniable proof and you build up the conviction, even though your mind might try to worry and be like, you can't do this, you have it written down. You're like, I did do
Right.
that. Like, what are you talking about? And you start to put yourself above the doubt.
Exactly, bro. It's crazy. Like, keeping track of shit is really helpful, bro. Keeping track of your wins, bro, so fucking helpful. A lot of times, bro, you remember the things that didn't work, but you don't remember the shit that did work. So if you can keep track of the things that did work, you'll go back to it and be like, damn, I forgot I even did this shit. It's like, come on, bro.
Which is why I started doing that. And it proved tenfold because I remember when I was in that slump, mind you, I had a spiritual ego. I was like, I don't need to do all this shit. I'm me. Like, come on. Like, I was manifesting so much money. I was barely doing this shit. I was doing, the booger sugar every day. Like, I
Yeah.
don't need to do this shit. And what got me out of that was, one, I went back to the basics. I went back to what worked for me, which a lot of people, like you said, that when they were over consuming, oh, I need to add this to my practice. No. If you found something that works, just do that. Don't overcomplicate it. And
Just do that.
I went back and I reread all of my success stories. I went back through my old journals and I was like, oh, I'm being an idiot. So I think it's very good for people to not only track their habits, track what they're doing every day, but also track their wins.
Facts, bro. I agree 100%. Gotta track your wins, bro. Write that shit down. At the end of the day, check it out. Bro, I guarantee, bro, that shit happened for you, bro.
Of course.
Genuinely.
So before we get going, we're going to kind of wrap this up here in about 10 minutes. I want to know what is like if you had to say one thing, like if there was one section that, people getting into this that they don't learn for a long time and that you wish you knew when you got into manifestation, what would that be? And how would you teach your past self this if you were your own teacher?
I think, so basically talking about what I struggle with most starting off.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. I think what I struggle with the most was, bro, honestly, bro, I was the person flip-flopping hella techniques, bro. I was that person because I felt as though me not seeing it in a certain amount of time, and mind you, bro, the time periods and the time spans I was giving myself, they were short as fuck. So, first off, pick one fucking technique, bro. One technique that makes sense to you, that resonates with you. Stick with that shit no matter what.
Yep.
Do not continuously check to see if that shit is there. because you're just taking yourself out of the understanding that you have it, bro. And that's all I gotta say, bro. Is really just lock in with that one technique. Don't go back and forth, bro. That shit is not going to change. You go find another technique and switch to this and switch to this and switch to this, bro. No, bro. You're in the wrong mindset. You're trying to find something that's going to get you there. When in reality, bro, you're the only one that's going to get you there.
Yep.
One thing, stick to it. Don't check. That's what I got to say.
I love that. I love that. And like, when I went through, some of my worst times in manifestation, which was like a year, 2 years ago, when I was going through my manifestation slump, is I went and found Nero. I think Nero really came onto the scene about a year, 2 years ago. And I found his, and I was a big affirmer. And I always have been. That's what I do to this day. I don't like visualizing as much because sometimes I'll struggle with it and it just pisses me off.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'll affirm. It's easier. But when I found him, I remember watching his video. And mind you, I was in a state where I was, not having a lot of success, consciously manifesting. I was manifesting the shit in my life, just not consciously. And I remember he's a big visualizer. Okay, that's what he always talks about.
He is.
And I remember I took that in, it's like, oh, affirming doesn't work. Which, mind you, is the dumbest shit ever. Affirming is just your thoughts. And visualization is just thoughts in picture form. So, like, everything is always working for you. But I remember I did that. And I started flip-flopping. And I went against everything that I had always been, which was affirming. That's how I got all my success. So it's like I was starting, like, with my conviction on visualization at 0. Because I had never done that shit. So, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. And one thing I like to ask people before they get off is if everything that you've ever done was wiped off the face of the earth and you had one piece of advice to give to everybody, the most helpful thing that you could think of, what would you tell them?
Bro, whatever it is, bro, whatever you want to do, whatever, bro, just start. Just start, bro. You'll figure that shit out along the way. Because the more you analyze before you get started, you'll get analysis paralysis, bro, and you'll never start, bro. You'll never fully be ready. The only way you'll be ready is when you jump in, bro. That's all I gotta say.
I love that. Well, I'm happy you came on today. I think it was really good. I'm sure everyone will love it. There was a lot of amazing shit that we talked about that I'm glad we actually got to talk about. But, I'm happy to have you. And I'm happy
Absolutely,
you came.
bro.
So,
thanks for having me, bro. It was a good time, bro, for sure.
Of course. Well, I will see you, and I will see you guys in the next one. We're out.
Peace.